Object interview questions and answers. Beginner means advanced. Introduction. An object is a core concept in object-oriented programming, OOP, representing a real-world entity with data and behavior. Objects are widely used for check software modeling, check application development, check system design, check APIs, enterprise applications, game development. Objects contain properties, state data, methods, behavior functions. Object-oriented programming is commonly used in Java, C++, Python, C#. 1 to 20. Object basics. What is an object? Instance of a class containing state and behavior. What is object-oriented programming? OOP. Programming paradigm based on objects and classes. What are object properties? Variables storing object state. What are object methods? Functions defining object behavior. What is class? Blueprint, template for creating objects. Java object example. Car equals new car. What is object instantiation? Creating object from class. What is constructor? Special method initializing object. Constructor example. Public car. What is object state? Current values of object properties. What is object behavior? Actions object can perform. What is reference variable? Variable storing object reference. What is memory allocation for objects? Objects stored in heap memory. What is object identity? Unique existence of object instance. What is null object reference? Reference pointing to nothing. Null example. Car equals null. Creation, usage, destruction. What is garbage collection? Automatic memory cleanup for unused objects. Why are objects important? Modularity, reusability, maintainability. Real-world object example. Car. User. Product 21 to 40. OOP principles. What are 4 pillars of OOP? Encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. What is encapsulation? Hiding internal object details. Encapsulation example. Private string name. Why use encapsulation? Security, controlled access. What is getter method? Get name. What is setter method? Set name. What is inheritance? Child class acquiring parent features. Inheritance example. Class dog extends animal. What is superclass? Parent base class. What is subclass? Child derived class. What is polymorphism? Same method behaving differently. Method overriding example. @override. What is method overloading? Same method name with different parameters. What is abstraction? Hiding implementation complexity. What is abstract class? Class that cannot be instantiated directly. Abstract class example. Abstract class animal. What is interface? Contract defining behaviors. Interface example. Interface payment interface versus abstract class. Interface equals contract. Abstract class equals partial implementation. What is composition? Object containing other objects. 41 to 70. Object behavior and advanced concepts. What is aggregation? Weak has a relationship between objects. Composition versus aggregation. Composition, stronger ownership. Aggregation, weaker ownership. What is object coupling? Dependency between objects. What is loose coupling? Minimal dependencies between components. Check maintainability. Check scalability. What is cohesion? Relatedness of object responsibilities. What is object cloning? Copying object instance. Clone example. Clone. What is deep copy? Copies nested objects recursively. What is shallow copy? Copies references only. What is immutable object? Object whose state cannot change. Immutable example. String. Benefits of immutable objects. Chi. Thread safety. Predictability. What is mutable object? Object whose state can change. What is equals method? Compares object values. Equals example. obj1.equals obj2. Hash representation of object. Why override hash code? Check. Hashmap support. Correct equality behavior. What is toString? Returns string representation of object. ToString. Example. System.out.println ob. What is instance operator? Checks object type. Instance example. Ob instance car. What is object serialization? Converting object into storable, transmittable format. Common serialization formats? Check. JSON? Check. XML? Binary. What is deserialization? Restoring object from serialized form. What is dependency injection? Providing object dependencies externally. Single shared object instance. Singleton example. Private static final. What is factory pattern? Pattern creating objects dynamically. What is object pooling? Reusing objects efficiently. 71 to 100. Advanced OOP and best practices. What is object graph? Network of connected objects. What is cyclic reference? Objects referencing each other. What is memory leak with objects? Unreleased object references consuming memory. What is object relational mapping? ORM. Mapping objects to database tables. Common ORM frameworks? Hibernate, Entity Framework. What is POJO? Plain old Java object. What is DTO? Data transfer object. What is entity object? Object representing database data. What is domain object? Business domain representation object. What is object composition in system design? Combining smaller objects into larger systems. What is solid principle relevance to objects? Encourages maintainable object design. What is SRP? Single responsibility principle. Liskov substitution principle. What is DIP? Dependency inversion principle. Common object interview topics. Check encapsulation, check inheritance, check polymorphism, check abstraction. Common object-oriented design problems. CURT, tight coupling, deep inheritance, God objects. What is God object? Object handling too many responsibilities. Best practices for object design. High cohesion, low coupling, single responsibility. What is domain-driven design, DDD? Modeling systems around business objects. What is object persistence? Saving objects to storage database. What is transient object? Temporary in-memory object. What is persistent object? Object stored permanently. What is object identity map? Tracks loaded object instances. Loading object data only when needed. What is eager loading? Loading related data immediately. What is object proxy? Placeholder object controlling access. How to become strong in object-oriented programming. Practice OOP design. Build scalable systems. Learn design patterns. Biggest object interview concept. Modeling real-world systems using encapsulated, reusable objects. Key object interview focus. OOP principles. Object relationships. Design patterns. And maintainable architecture. Why are objects fundamental in software engineering? Objects enable modular, reusable, scalable, and maintainable software design. Final summary. Object interviews focus on classes and objects, OOP principles, encapsulation and inheritance, polymorphism and abstraction, composition and aggregation, object lifecycle and memory, serialization and persistence, object-oriented design patterns. Key idea. Strong developers understand scalable object-oriented design, maintainable architecture, reusable object modeling, and solid design principles.